Spirits. I'm your host, Kristi Brower, and you are listening live here on Marvelous Monday on 1-2 Radio. Today is, if you can believe it, February 20th. We're already almost through the second month of 2017. Does that seem fast to you? Because it seems fast to me. I'm kind of blown away. It's also President's Day, and it is just a great day to be here with us at 1-2 Radio. We have lots of fun stuff happening. So I want to invite you into the chat room because I am in there times two. You will find my banner at the top of the page where you will see my producer Scott has posted the show banner for my show. That is where you can make comments, you can post questions, requests for readings, things like that. And then below that you will see a live Facebook video. So you can watch me live on the radio if you would like to. And so you do one or the other. Don't listen to the player and the video because they don't match up. But do one or the other. And if you do have a question for me, please post it on the pinned post at the top of the page. That is where I will be able to see it. The chat on the video rolls up. So I love to see you say hi and that you're watching the video. That's great. But if you have a question that you want me to get to during the show, definitely post it on the pinned post so that it doesn't disappear on me partway through the show. Oh, so I just want to say that it's fun to be here today. I look forward to my show every week. I look forward to thinking about what we're going to talk about and, you know, kind of where this is all going to go. It's really a really fun part of my job. I love this work. So I want to share with you my newsletter. If you aren't receiving my newsletter and would like to, you can get that over at kristibrower.com. Just fill out the little form to receive it. I'm going to post a link to it in the chat. It has the article in it that I'm going to discuss on today's show. Oh, goodness. And we're going to do a lot of things. We're going to do a meditation today. We're talking about perspective. That's my theme for February. We started that last week, and I'm just continuing it into this week. We're going to talk about a specific area of perspective and why perspective matters. And I'm going to share a meditation with you. I'm going to share a story with you. I have the stone of the week. I have the energy tip of the week. All kinds of stuff. But first I have to tell you something really interesting that I saw yesterday. And you might have seen the video of this on my Facebook page. We were going for a walk. Rhonda and I were down on the Greenbelt, which is the river, the Snake River, right here in Idaho Falls. Runs down through the river, down through downtown. And as we were walking, it was so nice to be able to be outside and, you know, really enjoying being down there by the river. I look out into the water, and out there is this sort of little iceberg floating, and on it are, I don't know, 10 or 12 little ducks, and they're taking a ride. This is a big chunk of ice that has broken off from the edge of the river and is floating, and the birds are riding it. I thought that was hilarious. A little different perspective for me. I never really thought of, you know, animals doing that. And I don't know why they were doing it, but it looked to me like they were having a pretty good time. It was like they found their own little boat. They rode it for a while, and then when it disappeared, I'm not sure because we walked past it, and then when we came back, it was gone, and all the birds were then on the ice that was still stationary on the edge of the river, because it was right there. So there are falls. Oh, I live in Idaho Falls, and the falls are actually a hydroelectric power plant. And I don't know if the ice went over the side or if it went under the bridge and continued down the river, but somewhere it disappeared, and so the birds got off. But I thought that was a really kind of a mind-bending experience to watch them riding it, like just riding along. It was really fun. But in my thinking about perspective this month, it kind of hit me as an interesting, you know, way to look at life, and sort of wondering, like, what were they thinking? Why were they on it? You know, it looked a little dangerous, actually. It was melting as it was moving. It was potentially going to go over the falls, which is a big drop. And I really kept wondering, like, how are they seeing this? You know, what's the purpose of this? And it was a lot of fun. So, you know, if you're friends with me on Facebook, you can see it. I posted the video of it yesterday. It's just a little 12-second video, but I just thought it was a lot of fun. So I wanted to share that with you. So this morning I want to talk about perspective in relationship to getting out of the little details and looking at the big picture. This is one area that I think we all struggle at different times with, and it's where we get into a lot of judgment about ourselves and a lot of, beating ourselves up and pressure when we look at the little things in life, when we look at the little details instead of looking at the big picture. I suspect that we are all much better big picture people for other people, I think about it like with children. If you've ever watched a baby or a toddler learn to walk, they make a lot of mistakes, right? They stand up, they fall down. They take a couple of steps, they fall down. Sometimes my youngest sister, Kara, one time stood up and ran all the way down the hall. Scared my dad to death. He bailed over the side of the couch trying to catch her because he was sure she was going to crash. And she got to the end of the hall and she just sat down. And I think about that perspective as a parent when you watch a child learning to walk. You don't nitpick every little incident of walking, right? You don't go, oh man, this time they fell down, they're just not going to get it, right? You see the big picture. You recognize that the practicing and the doing it over and over again and the making mistakes and learning from them is all about development, right? You see the big picture, that ultimately this is going to result in this child walking. And the mistakes are okay. The little details are okay. The falling down, the having a not so good day, the refusing to do it for a while because they fell, whatever, all of it is part of their growth, right? It's part of their development. So you can get out of the details and get into the big picture. Now, for ourselves, we're not as good, right? We're not as good at that. We're tend to be pretty nitpicky. We pick and choose, we pick at ourselves about the little details, the little mistakes, the little things that we don't like, rather than looking at the big picture, looking at our growth as a constant movement forward. Looking at the way that things develop is a good thing, and that we all have to learn from our own mistakes. We all have to try things. We all have to change our minds. We all have to fail in order to succeed, right? We know that. But we don't give ourselves enough credit. We get stuck in those little tiny details. We get stuck in the minutia. And that really affects our perspective and our ability to look at the global perspective of it, the big picture of where is all of this taking us? Where are we going with it? So I have a few things I want to share today that will help us to get out of the minutia and into the big picture so that we can see where we're really going, where this is taking us in the long run. So I like to look at things through the perspective of looking at it in the long game. Like what's the 10-year plan of this experience, not what's the day-to-day plan of this experience. So there are a few things that we can do to help us shift our perspective from those little details and that nitpicking of ourselves that goes on to looking at it from the bigger picture. The first is to really work on our emotions. Getting stuck in our emotions gets us stuck in the details. If we have a difficult time getting out of those little experiences, those little flash moments of anger or frustration or disappointment, we get stuck in them, and then we can't even see the big picture. So the first thing I want to do today is a meditation with you. And we've done this meditation before, but I do feel like this meditation really does apply to what we're doing today. So we're going to do my emotion release meditation. So Scott, if you'd give us a little music. Everyone close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Allow your body to settle and your mind to go quiet. Now, bring your attention to your heart chakra. Feel the emotions that are swirling in your heart and take a moment to really feel them. Give them a name and a color. So feel those emotions. What are they? Identify them. Give them a color. Because energy is a vibration. It all has a color. And now, gather all that energy up in a ball. Into a ball of energy in your heart. And you notice in front of you a vortex of white light has opened up in the earth. This vortex can be used to transmute any energy into love. Now take the ball of energy you created from your emotions and throw it into the vortex of white light. You see it land in the vortex, and you see the energy change into the beautiful pale blue energy of unconditional love. Now take a moment to feel the relief inside of your body, the release of the difficult emotions that you sent into the vortex. And then take 3 deep breaths. And open your eyes. Okay, so that is one little exercise that I think is very helpful. It's quick, and it I think is very powerful when you just feel like you have all this emotional energy built up inside of you that needs to go. There are lots of ways to release emotional energy, and this is one of them. Of course, you can do other things like, physical activity, walking or running or kickboxing or yoga or whatever works for you. Certainly, you probably have certain music that you listen to that helps you release emotional energy. Maybe it's just talking to a friend. But use your skills to release that emotional energy so that you can let go of it, not have to focus on it, because that keeps us in the details. And then we lose our perspective. We lose that big picture of where this is really going for us. And then when we lose that, we can get so stuck in one little area that we stop moving forward in others. We get so focused on one little thing, we lose all kinds of other things going on in our lives. We lose that perspective. So I just want to encourage you to remember that if those emotions are really getting built up inside of you and you're struggling with that one of the best things that you can do is to release the emotional energy. Maybe you need to write it out, write a letter. There are lots of great ways to release emotions, and that meditation is certainly one of them. It is available for free download over on my website, kristibrower.com. It's just a little recording that I pulled out of one of the shows that we did, where I've used that meditation. So feel free to download it, use it over and over again. It's an exercise that's easy to remember. You can do it probably without listening to the meditation after you've heard it a couple of times. But it's a great way to get out of the minutia, to release that emotional energy out of your heart. So I'm going to talk about a couple of other things that go along with this. And that would be sorry guys, I got to get to the right page on Facebook here because I'm going to share these in the chat so that if you're in there, you'll see them. If you are not, you will see them on my website instead. That's, on my Facebook fan page, which is Kristi A. Brower. But I wanted to share with you my stone of the week and my energy tip of the week that are related as well. So let's talk about the energy tip first. So this is energy tip number 21. I think my computer's playing tricks on me. I think it likes to be slow when I'm on the radio just to make me sweat just a little. Here we go. Okay. So energy tip number 21, which is about perspective. Take a moment to look at your life as though you were observing someone else. Focus on the long game, the development of yourself over your entire lifetime. This will help you to get out of the details and into the big picture. I think it can be helpful to try this with someone else first. So choose someone that you love, one of your siblings or your best friend or somebody that you're really close to, and look at their life from the big picture. Look at their development, the major milestones that they hit throughout their childhood and their teen years, their early adulthood. How have they developed? Don't look at the little stuff. because it doesn't matter. Those little day-to-day details really don't matter. When we're talking about perspective and really looking at where we're headed, where we've been and where we're headed, we need to look at it from the big picture. So try it with someone else first. Look at everything that they've been through, someone you know well, so that you can hit their big milestones that you know about. And you will find that you are not in a place of judgment of them. You are simply in a place of observing how they have developed into the person that they are now based on those large milestones. Now do the same for yourself. Once you've done it for someone else, I think then it's easier to do it for somebody else. And just take a moment to look at the big milestones throughout your life that made you who you are. Do the little things matter? When you look at those big milestones, what you're going to see is that you have developed into an amazing human. You have been through some difficult things that have made you stronger, that have made you more resilient, that have given you skills that you needed to get through even the hard stuff, that have changed the way that you love yourself, that have changed the way that you love other people, that have helped you to see what's really inside of people and what's really inside of yourself. Those experiences have happened. Now, if you were to lay it all out in a timeline and lay out all your mistakes in there, it would look very different. You would judge it very differently because you would decide that you screwed up here and you screwed up there and it could be different this way and that way. And, those little things don't matter. We get so stuck in the little stuff that we don't give ourselves enough credit for who we have become. And that really helps us to see our lives in the long game. Where are we headed from here? The big milestones, right? So I think about some of them for myself. I think about some of the experiences that I went through. So I remember we moved. So when I went to kindergarten at a little country school, and then we moved to a larger town. And I live in Idaho, so nothing here is large, probably in your perspective, but to me, a much larger town. That changed things for me a lot. I had many more opportunities when we moved into the larger town. I remember a big milestone of mine was when I started the 6th grade, I think, is when I started band. That was when I was able to start band, and I started playing the clarinet and fell madly in love with playing the clarinet, fell madly in love with music, and it shaped all of my junior high and high school years because that was my big focus, was music. I was in band, I was in choir, I played with the orchestra, I took private lessons, I traveled because of being in music. I did that also in junior college. That really shaped a lot of what I went through. Some other things that shaped what I went through, the big milestones. When I was 13, my grandfather went to prison for molesting my first cousin. That changed things for me significantly. I learned a lot from that experience. It was a very difficult experience, but it was also something that changed who I was, and I think really directed my life further in the future. When I was 17, my cousin was killed in a car accident. I was very close to him. I always sort of thought of him as the brother I didn't have. It was the summer before our senior year in high school, and he was killed in a car accident. That shaped my life again, very significantly. Then I moved on and I went to junior college. And I studied music in junior college. Right after graduating, I was in a car accident where I had a neck and shoulder injury, affected my ability to hold up my instrument and play. I moved home, and it changed the whole direction of my life. I ended up completing my degree in social work and moving on from music because physically I wasn't up to it anymore. And through that, made some other huge changes because that car accident was an absolutely pivotal moment in my life because it changed the direction of my career, but it also saddled me with a chronic pain condition that really brought me to where I am today talking to you, because I got very little help from the medical community at the time of that accident, and so I turned to the alternative healing community, and I began to learn about energy healing and essential oils and herbology and homeopathy and all these different things that really led me in a different direction. So I completed my degree as a social worker, but all through college and all through my adult years, I spent studying all kinds of alternative healing modalities, which is really what brought me here, right? So that's a huge milestone. I could go on and on. I'm not going to go any further because I have so much more to talk about, but that's kind of how you do it. And you can do that for somebody else first if it's easier, then do it for yourself, because you want to look at how you've developed and how you've moved forward throughout your life. Now, were there missteps and things that I regret and things that I get too focused on sometimes in those periods of my life? Yeah, sure, there were. Did they really direct the direction of my life, though? No, they didn't actually. They didn't at all. And ultimately, did they really matter in the long run? No, not in the least. And so when I'm thinking about perspective and looking at the big picture, I want to look at the big moments that then directed my life. And what did I do with them? What did I do with that? When I got into this car accident, ended up with this chronic pain issue, I had a lot of choices about how I could have handled that. The last doctor I saw, when I sort of gave up on the medical community, told me, he diagnosed me with a chronic pain condition. He gave me a couple of prescriptions and he said, don't bother coming back to me. There's nothing I can do for you. You just have to go home and learn to live with this. I was 21. And that was beyond ridiculous to me, that we would just stop and give up. He was giving up on me, and I'm 21 years old. I have my entire life ahead of me, and I'm supposed to just accept, this. And I surely didn't. I should thank him, really, because it really gave me a lot of motivation to keep moving forward. I wasn't going to give up on myself, even though he gave up on me. And so I kept moving forward, and it brought me to where I am today. It absolutely did. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about perspective. That's what I'm talking about when looking at your life from the long game, looking at your life from the big picture. It helps you to see where you've come from. It helps you to see what you've learned and what your experiences have taught you and how you've changed. That helps you to know, first of all, that whatever you come into contact with in the rest of your life, you've lived through a whole lot. You've learned through a whole lot. You've gotten stronger and smarter and more understanding throughout your whole life. You will continue to do that for the rest of your life, and you will be able to handle whatever comes. You will. So looking at your life from that perspective is helpful. It helps you to get out of that place of judgment of your own choices. It helps you for other people as well. As a social worker, one of the things that I learned were a lot of skills around assessment. That was a big part of my job when I worked in mainstream social work, was assessing people, assessing them for their mental health and their capacity to function, in order to assist them with getting whatever treatment was appropriate for them. I think that helped me to learn how to see things from a more global perspective, because my assessments would be, really about, tell me about those big experiences in your life and how did they shape you and what directions have they pushed you? What help do you need to deal with some of those things? So I think that's helped me in my own assessment of myself and in my assessment of other people. But I think it's really valuable to shift your perspective to a more big picture place, because you get out of a place of nitpicking and judging every choice that you've made. Because you can't change them. All you can do is move forward from them. And so I think that's key. The next thing that I want to share with you is the stone of the week. And I'll tell you why it is the stone of the week. The stone is red jasper. And red jasper is, you might not think that red jasper is the most beautiful stone ever, but I actually do. I love red jasper. This is not a picture. This is red jasper. This is a little red jasper palm stone that I have. And it is a stone that boosts courage and confidence and contributes to a sense of safety and stability. This is the other element that we have to bring into our lives in order to shift perspective out of the little minutia and into the big picture, is we need to feel safe. We need to feel safe and stable and grounded. And we need to have confidence in ourselves, and we need to be courageous. And red jasper helps to provide that. Whenever I'm struggling with feeling stable and connected and strong enough to deal with the things that I have to deal with, I carry a red jasper palm stone. I actually have several of them. This is one of them. And I love these. This is just a little flat stone. I like to carry it in my pocket and, rub it with my thumb or rub it between my hands, because it is such a strengthening, grounding energy that really helps connect me to the energy of the earth. And it's something that I appreciate very much. So this is a stone that I would recommend that you get a piece of, and you can get it raw. I mean, red jasper is not hard to come by. It is a very prolific stone. It is a very inexpensive stone, but it is a great stone to boost your sense of safety, boost your sense of courage and confidence, and that improve that inner knowing that everything's going to be okay and that you can handle whatever comes. It's a great stone for anxiety, actually, because it helps with that. I'm going to get to a couple of questions before I move on. Mary says, do you see any blocks I might have that is keeping me from moving on, or is it just the right place or house hasn't shown yet? Maybe it's the wrong town, feeling a bit confused. Oh, okay. So you're looking for a house, you're trying to move forward, you're in a transitional period, and you're feeling confused. Let me tell you something, Mary. Whenever you are in a transitional period like that, and you start to feel that sense of confusion, I believe often that is your intuition telling you it's not quite the right time to act. When you have a really strong sense of, this is it, this is exactly it, this is what I want, this is where I'm going, without any question in your heart, that's when you act. So I feel like you're in one of those periods where divine timing is at play in your life, and you haven't come to the end of the road yet. You haven't found the answer. So the answer is to keep looking. Because you're right, it's not the right house. Maybe it isn't the right town. Wait until you don't feel confused anymore. Wait until you feel absolutely sure this is exactly what I want, and then you move forward. You can trust that in your heart. You can most definitely trust that in your heart. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Linda says you can only suffer as long as you allow yourself to stay attached to it and hold on to it, right? We can beat ourselves up for the rest of our lives for something that happened 20 years ago. That's one perspective. It's not a very happy one. I'd like to see us be able to find, something that is easier on ourselves. And so allowing yourself to move forward, doing that emotional release to let go of something is really, really important. It's a really, really good point, Linda. Let's see. Pink Oracle says, what about feeling like you can't take one more lesson because of the suffering you experience while going through it? I know they don't want us to suffer, but can we or they alter this? Well, yeah, okay. So when you talk about suffering, then you need some self-care. You need to first take care of you. How do you release your suffering? If it's emotional suffering, if it's physical suffering, before you take the next step, you need to find some ways to relieve the physical and emotional discomfort. So the emotional expression, that emotional release meditation or any other way that you're going to release yourself emotionally, looking for also physical relief. Do you need a doctor? Do you need some help? Are you not getting enough help? Put yourself in self-care mode. Take care of you. It is not a judgment on you that you are suffering. It means that you're not putting enough attention on yourself. If you need to take some time to take care of you before the next step. So that's really key. And so if you feel like you're suffering at an unbearable level, how do you pull yourself out of some things and focus on you for a while? So Pink Oracle, that's where you need to go with that, okay? Yeah, so she's saying the emotional release is the hard part because that causes suffering. Okay, and that's something that I can help you with. That is something that I have done a lot of work with as a master healer. And so I would suggest maybe that you and I need to work together on the phone. And those are some things that we can really work on. Sometimes if it's really big emotional stuff, you need some help to release that energy out of your body. Sometimes it's stuff we can do ourselves, and sometimes it isn't. Sometimes we need some support to do that. So I would recommend that maybe you and I work together on that, okay? So reach out to me. You'll find me over, I know we've worked together before in classes and stuff, and so you can find me over at One Two Listen, okay? Thank you very much. Those are great questions, guys, and definitely where we're going with all of this. So I appreciate that. I want to take a little break from our topic because I have a class coming up that I would like to share with you. I talked about it in my newsletter, if you got that, but I am starting a monthly class that's called Advanced Healer Training. So, if you are trained in energy healing, whatever modality, whatever kind of Reiki or other modalities, I don't care, it doesn't matter. If you're already an energy healer and you've had some training, then this class is appropriate for you. So this in this particular class, we are going to work on skills to relieve anxiety and depression. So if you've studied some energy healing, you've probably gotten some fairly broad spectrum training. What I want to do now is get specific. I want us to get focused and get specific, and I want to teach you some very specific skills to help to relieve anxiety and depression. And this is from an energy healing perspective. So looking at the energy body, where are the issues in the energy body with anxiety and depression, and how do we heal those? How do we release them? How do we shift them? How do we raise the vibration? How do we reduce overactive energy? There's all kinds of stuff that goes on there. And there are multiple chakras involved. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. And so I'm going to do one of these classes each month. So that'll be the fourth Monday of the month will be my advanced healer training each month. And I'm going to pick a different topic. So sometimes it will be physical health. Sometimes it will be emotional. Sometimes it will be spiritual. I just kind of take a little read of people that I'm working with and pick a topic that seems timely. Mary's asking, is this for ourselves or others? It's for yourself and for others. Most energy healing modalities, you have learned how to work on yourself, how to work on somebody else. These are skills that can be used both for you and for someone else. They're skills that can be used in person or by distance. So it's very useful stuff. It's going to be, some very specific and focused energy healing skills about anxiety and depression. So I encourage you to register for that. I'm really looking forward to teaching it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, it's a recorded class, so you will receive an MP3 of it. You don't have to attend it live if you don't want to, but you can, and then you'll also have the recording so that you can listen to it multiple times. And I'm going to do a different topic every month. So I just want to encourage you to sign up for that. It's a week from today, next Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific at 12 Academy. So I will post a link to it in the chat, but then you also can find it over at 12academy.com. But I'm looking forward to sharing this with you guys. I think it's going to be really interesting. I've been working, I've been teaching sort of general energy healing skills for a long time. I haven't done a lot. I do a lot of the advanced stuff, but I haven't taught a lot of it. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys. So just getting that posted in the chat. There we go. Okay. Now let's move on. I want to get to some of your questions in the chat. So of course you can post those there. Please try to post them on the pin post and not on the video, just because the video keeps rolling up on me and that's kind of hard to track. But I know that I am trying to get to as many of you from both places as possible. So let's see here. Katie says, I just had to take a look at the big picture. I surrendered. I got a job. This isn't the one I was looking at, but it's more fitting my personality. Thank you for your guidance. That's wonderful, Katie. I'm so glad. Interesting, though, that it's not the job that you thought was the right one. And that is another area of perspective. We get really focused on one thing. This is the right thing. This is what I want. This is the only thing that can work out for me. And we have to be really careful with that, because sometimes the right thing comes along. It's not the thing we were focusing on. If our perspective is too narrow, we may miss something. So Katie, way to go. That you took it even though it wasn't exactly what you thought it was going to be, or it wasn't exactly the job you thought you wanted, and it turned out to be the right job for you. I think that's wonderful. So way to go. Congratulations. Katie also says that she can see the big picture in her sister-in-law because she has come so far. Good. Yeah. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Take a minute to, try that on somebody else. Look at their perspective and then practice looking at your own. Let's see. I'm going to roll the chat up because I know I missed a couple of questions here. Let's see. Kylie says, anything for me? Let's see, Kylie. Oh, I like your name, Kylie. That's funny. Kylie put the pronunciation of her name in her question. She must be very familiar with people mispronouncing her name. So thank you for that, Kylie. I always like to say people's names correctly. So Kylie, I'm really being drawn to your upper chakras. So kind of starting about at the heart, all the way up into your head. You're a big old tornado, is what I would say in my Idaho vernacular. You've got your crown is overactive, so you've got tons and tons of energy racing around in your mind. It is making it difficult to think and focus, and it's causing some symptoms like probably some depression and anxiety. You're probably having trouble sleeping, probably having some trouble with your memory and focus and concentration. You've got a structural problem in your energy body where things are not clearing out the crown of your head. So your stagnant energy that should be clearing. So root chakra energy pushes all the way up through your energy body and out the crown of your head. And it's like breathing. You're breathing in new energy. You're breathing out old. Well, this system is disrupted in you. And so that energy is not getting all the way up. It's because your root is shifted out of alignment. So your root's out over here, and your crown is huge over here. So what we have to do, Kylie, is we have to shift your root back into place. We're just going to do that. So that you're drawing an adequate amount of root chakra energy, or earth's energy really, up through your root, all the way up through your energy body. And as it travels up into these upper chakras, it's pushing with it stagnant energy. So it's pushing with it some emotional energy and some thoughts that have gotten repetitive and other, just energy that's built up inside of you that no longer serves you. And then it should clear out the crown of your head, okay? And so that's what we're doing right now, is we're going to just resetting that system in your body so that it's now clearing all the way out the crown of your head, so that it's not building up. And that will help to reduce your physical symptoms of, pressure, headaches, anything like that you've got going on in your head. And then it will also assist you with your emotional symptoms and your psychological symptoms, with the racing mind and with the difficulty sleeping and thinking and focusing. So I think that will get a whole lot better because we've done a little reset of the energy body. And I think that's going to help you quite a lot. So thank you very much for your question. Okay. Oh, Katie says, we were talking about that job she got, and she said that job came out of nowhere. Yeah, right? Perspective. Do we always know what's coming our way? Do we always know how things are going to work out for us? No, we totally don't. We have to be open. We have to have a mind that's open enough and to accept whatever's coming our way, even if we didn't plan it, even if we didn't expect it, because we don't always know, do we? So you've got to keep that perspective from getting too narrow, because when it is, it's like a horse with blinders on, right? You're walking a straight line, you've got your blinders on, and you're missing everything that's coming from this way and this way. You cannot see it. And so when you take the blinders off and you broaden that perspective, suddenly you can see all kinds of things around you that are potentials and possibilities. It's a big part of divine timing. So I wanted to share, before I get into any more questions, as a part of my article this month, I told a little story about the Meyer lemon trees. So when we had our spiritual center, we had these 2 Meyer lemon trees. Now I have to credit my sister Katie. They were her trees. She took care of them. I am not much of a plant grower personally, but I love watching them. And it was really fun because we had all these plants and trees and things in our spiritual center that Katie took really good care with. It was beautiful to watch them grow. So we had these Meyer lemon trees in front of a big window, and they would, because they were indoors in front of a big window, they grew year round. And they were actually growing real Meyer lemons. So I watched the lemons all summer long, and they turned from green to yellow, and then they, took months. They took months to ripen. I did not realize how long it would take a lemon to ripen on the tree, right? They looked like little limes for a long time. And so they would ripen on one side, and then we would turn the tree because it was really only getting light on one side. And so we'd turn it, and then it would slowly, weeks and weeks would go by, and it would slowly turn yellow. And I really didn't understand how long it took a lemon to ripen. Lemons take a long time to grow and a long time to ripen. And so I learned a lot about growth and divine timing watching that happen. Because, there were times when it was like, oh, I want to taste what these taste like, and I thought about, picking one of the green ones. Let's try it out, we did that once actually, and it was a huge mistake. They were horrible. And so when they did fully ripen, we cut up one, and everybody, tasted it, and we had a little bit of lemon. And it was the most delicious lemon I have ever had. And I realized that probably the lemons that you buy in the grocery store don't ripen on the tree. I bet they're picked when they're green, and then they sit somewhere and slowly ripen. If you ever bought something in the store that isn't ripe, and if you let it sit for a few days, it will soften. I'm afraid that might be what happens with a lot of our citrus fruits, watching these lemons grow. And because it takes so long for them to ripen. So this taught me a lot about not pushing, not forcing an issue, but allowing things to play out over time. Allowing my perspective to be big enough to recognize that there was divine timing at play, and that I needed to trust that and allow it to play out and happen in the time that it was meant to, and not force it. Because just like the lemon, if I forced the lemon, I was going to get a crappy lemon. But if I allowed it to ripen and grow and develop in its own timing, when it was ready, it was a very sweet experience. And so I think that's important for all of us to remember, that we have to allow those things to happen. And that's, Katie, that reminds me of you and your job, because you just had to allow it to happen. And it didn't come the way you expected, did it? But it still came because you allowed it. Now, could you have forced the issue and forced your way into a job that really wasn't the right thing for you? Probably. We've all done it. But ultimately, you did allow for things to play out in the best way possible for you. And look at the benefit that you gained from that. That's a big part of allowing your perspective to stay big on the big picture, is that often you could develop something that you never thought you would, that turns out to be the right thing for you. Christine said, are emotions causing the digestive problems I've been having? Oh, that's a good question. Christine, let's take a look. I will say that your solar plexus is clenched very tightly, that there is some energy there. First of all, your solar plexus is underactive, so it's small, not holding enough energy, and it's sort of in lockdown mode, I would say. And so it's not really allowing any energy in. I do feel like you're feeling a little insecure about some things. I would say that this is contributing to your digestive issues, but I'm not going to say it's the entire cause. It is rare that there's only one cause to something that's going on in your body. A lot of times there's an emotional component, there's an energetic component, there's a physical component. But let's work on the energetic one, because that's where I come from, right? So we're going to open that solar plexus up a little bit, because I don't like how tight it is. That's got to be very uncomfortable. So I'm going to open that chakra up a little bit. And then we're just going to clear some energy of self-doubt, some pressure in there that has developed over time. I feel like this has come from you, but it's also come from other people in your life, that you feel questioned, you feel discounted, like people don't always agree with the choices that you've made. I'm not saying you've made any wrong choices. I don't think you have. I think you're in one of those situations where sometimes people in our lives think they know better what's best for us than we do. And so there's some judgment and some pressure to push us in a direction because they think that's what's right for us. And people do this because they love us. I don't mean to diss on that. But I will say that they don't always know, really, what's the right thing. Because Christine, really the only person that knows what's right for you is you. So I want to just validate that and just expand that solar plexus and clear out some of that heavy energy. And I do think that that will help. Keep an eye on it. Pay attention to your self-talk. How are you talking to yourself about the choices that you're making, the direction that your life is going? Are you being hard on yourself? Are you taking on some of the criticism that you've experienced from other people rather than pushing back a little bit and recognizing that, hey, it's not, this isn't exactly what I want. I'm going to go in the direction that I want to go. I'm going to choose what I think is best for me. So, ask yourself some of those questions, okay? And try to stay open there. If you continue to have those digestive symptoms, then of course get some medical care for it too. Because as with anything, it's multifaceted because we are kind of complicated. I just got to say, as humans. So work on those thoughts, and if you need to, get some medical care as well, okay? Thank you very much for that question. Let's see. I want to get down here. Crystal has a question. She says, do you see me having surgery next month? Oh boy, that's a good question. I do have a confirmation, Crystal, so I do think that you will. I honestly feel really positive energy around the whole situation, so I feel like it's going to be a good thing, that it's positive for you, that the outcome will be good. Like, I don't feel like there's anything that's going to keep that from happening, and I don't feel like that there's anything that would cause it to not be a success as far as, the surgery itself. So, all good there. Robbie has a question for us. And, he's, if you know Robbie in the chat, he's pretty funny. He wants some help to open his third eye. He says, I'm in Texas, so I can't smoke a doobie to do it. And then he says he's kidding, but I don't know if he's really kidding. Robbie, why is your third eye so tightly closed? That is painful. So I feel like there's this, I feel like the doors are closed and locked around your third eye. I'm wondering if you've had an experience that was scary or upsetting. Something's caused you to shut this down. So maybe think about that. Sometimes we do it consciously. Sometimes we do it unconsciously. It's possible that there's something that you're afraid to see, that there's a truth that you're afraid to know. And sometimes we shut ourselves off from our intuition when that happens. So because you've asked, I'm going to open your third eye, but I want you to be aware that if there is something that you're afraid of knowing the answer to, it may come, okay? So I just want you to be prepared for that. So let's get that third eye open and moving a little bit again. I don't know if you're having headaches, but this is giving me quite a headache, how tightly shut down your third eye is. So I'm glad that we're going to open it up a little bit for you and get it moving again. Okay, there we go. Okay, very good. So I do think that you're going to, experience a little bit better intuition, a little more information, but work with yourself a little bit on why was it so closed? Where did that come from? It's not a judgment. It's just a reality that for some reason you've shut it down. So, and maybe you know why, but if you don't, think about that a little bit and what was it that you were avoiding, okay? So thank you for your question. Christine says, my hands were glowing and I just put them on my solar plexus. Thank you so much, Kristi. Good. Yay, glowing hands. I like that. That sounds like the kind of energy we want to be sending around the planet, doesn't it? Okay, let's see. Crystal says, I would love to open up my third eye. Can you help me with that? Sure. Wow, what is it? Are we all shut down a little bit? Are we all a little bit afraid? It feels a little bit like that, That does happen. We can close that door a bit. Crystal, I'm just going to talk about this while I'm working on you. But we can close that door a little bit when we're a little afraid to know the truth, when we're afraid to know the answer to something. Also, if you feel a little freaked out, maybe you saw something or felt something that you couldn't identify or didn't understand, that can also affect your intuition. But Crystal, you're opening up nicely there, so I think it'll be okay. Robbie says, I went to a visitation last week and heard the deceased guy plain as day come to me and ask what was going on and why were all those people here. Yikes, that probably did it. Yes, it probably did. Whenever you have an experience, an intuitive experience that is shocking, something you haven't had before, something you didn't expect, that can cause a little shutdown in the third eye. So just recognize that and intentionally stay open if you can. Tell yourself, okay, that freaked me out, but I don't want to lose what I've got. I don't want to lose my intuition, so I'm going to stay open. Be conscious about it. Remember that your thoughts control your energy body. What you think literally happens inside yourself, inside your energy system. Our thought, and sometimes outside. That's how we, fire little arrows at each other and, have create attachments around each other. So just remember that your thoughts control your energy body. And so if you go, whoa, I'm afraid of that, I don't want anything to do with anything like that, guess what? Boom, door is closed. So, control your thoughts, think about your thinking, be aware of your thinking and how it affects your energy body. So it sounds like Crystal and Robbie, I think you're going to be feeling a lot better. You're going to be feeling that. So I've got time for one more. Sienna says, I would love to have a reading. I'm open to any messages you may have for me. Man, everybody's up in their heads right now, aren't they? Sienna, your head is just killing me. So, yeah, you've definitely everybody's got tornado energy body right now. So, I've just got a couple of minutes. Let's do a little exercise. Let's do energy breathing together. Sienna, this is going to help you too. We need to stabilize your root chakra, get your head clearing so that you can get that cycle of energy moving in your energy body again, and that this will help very much with what you have going on, okay? So everybody bring your attention to your root chakra. It's in the center of your body, right at the base of your spine. And then send that root chakra energy all the way down your legs and out the bottoms of your feet. Drop your root cords down into the center of the earth. And ask the goddess Gaia to take hold of those roots and make a strong connection between you and the energy of the earth, grounding you and centering you. Now draw that earth's energy all the way up through those root cords, all the way up to the bottoms of your feet, and feel it settle and center in your root chakra. Now this is a very strong energy, and this is an energy that's going to travel all the way through your energy body, pushing with it any stagnant energy, and that energy will be released out of the crown of your head. So let's just allow that energy to begin to move up into our sacral chakras and to our solar plexus and heart. You may feel some pressure building in your head. Sienna, I feel that building in your head. That's okay, because we're going to open up the crown and release all of it up into the throat and to the third eye, and then open that crown up wide and out through the crown. Okay, so that is energy breathing. So just do it again as you breathe in, draw that root energy all the way up, and as you breathe out, push it out the crown of your head. Do it again, breathe in, and breathe out. One more time. Breathe in, and breathe out. Remember, that's how you reset that cycle of energy in your body. It releases all of that in your head. Because, Sienna, I think that you've got a lot of worrying going on. You've got a lot of thinking going on, a lot of overthinking, too much focus. Your perspective has become narrow. And so clearing out that crown will help to broaden your perspective and quiet your mind. If you don't have it, go get my download of energy breathing off my website, KristiBrower.com. In the free meditations, it's called energy breathing, and it would be a great one for you to do every day for a little while to help to keep that clear. What's happening is that you have a lot of fears going on in your head that are false. You're playing that what if game. So the energy breathing meditation will help to clear your head and release you from the what if game, okay? So thanks for the question. Crystal says, so I had an imaginary friend when I was young, a little native boy. I always wondered if that was a sprite. Can you help me with that? Yeah, I think that it was a spirit of some sort, some kind of a guide for you, Crystal. So that's awesome. Lots of us had those. It may be what shut your third eye down too, though. If you experienced a time when you expressed that little spirit was around you, if anyone around you got a little afraid about that or doubted it at all, you might have been told that was not a good thing. And if that happened, sometimes that's what shuts our third eyes down. So thank you so much for that. Thank you all for being here. Don't forget my class next Monday night, advanced energy healing skills, and it's over at 12academy.com. I want you to stay tuned because we have lots of great programming coming up. Following me, The Keys to Awakening with Velvet Dawn, then Alita's Audacity with Alita McClelland, and wrapping up the day is Kathleen Peterson and Friends. Thank you for being here, and as always, thanks for listening to 12 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.